Learning a new language can be hard, but when I was living in Germany, I came across so many otherwise talented, intelligent people who struggled to find that much momentum with their language learning. And looking back, I think it's because they failed to apply some pretty basic principles that we usually don't think of in other aspects of life. So today, I want to make this video and call out 3 of those principles that you can apply to your language learning to really supercharge your progress. Be sure to stick around for the second one in particular, because I think that's actually the most important. Oh, before we get into it, I just want to call out, I studied German at university, so maybe I had a bit of an advantage that other people didn't. But at the time, I was actually the worst in my class. And when I came back from my year abroad, all of my lecturers were actually astounded at how much progress I've made. And I think, again, it was because I kind of just followed some of these principles naturally, but also because I ignored some of the advice that they gave me before I went out. So, principle number 1, start with why. This comes up all the time in anything that you learn, and it's such a crucial thing. It comes from this guy called Simon Sinek. I can link to his TED talk on start with why. Before anything else, you need to figure out why you want to do it in the first place. That's really important with language learning, because that why is going to dictate all of your choices in terms of how you go about learning the language, which language you're going to learn, the kind of goals that you set yourself. You might want to be doing it to increase your employability. You might want to learn a language like Chinese or Korean that are really trending in the jobs market at the moment. You might want to just learn through a hobby, or it might be because of relationship. Maybe you've got a partner who has another native language that you want to master so that you can get to know their family, or maybe it's just so that you feel a little bit more involved in a new country that you've moved to. So depending on all of those whys, you might have different outcomes, and it's important to keep that in mind. Not only is it going to give you the momentum to keep at it, but you'll also be able to identify which are the best methods for you so that you can hit your goal. For example, if you know that you need to learn a new language for a job, then you might have to take a much more structured, thorough approach to learning that language. If you're just going somewhere on holiday and you want to learn how to interact with people in a more fun way, then maybe the more casual apps might be all that you need. But again, it's all about building that momentum and knowing where you're going so you can get there. Principle number 2, put people first. Whatever kind of language you speak or sign or read or write, language is the way that we connect with other people and the way that we communicate with them. So it's inherently about people. Before I went on my year abroad, I got some terrible advice from the university and from just about everyone else. And I wasn't the only one, because friends that I met while I was living in Germany got the exact same advice that I think you should just avoid at all costs. And that is this idea that whenever you meet someone who is a native speaker of your target language, you should tell them that you want to learn their language and ask if you could speak in their language. And I can tell you from my experience of living in Germany, whenever I met someone who objectified me as an English speaker in that way and forced English upon me, especially in the workplace where I found it particularly undermining, it really turned me off them, and it created an awkwardness between us, and I didn't really want to connect with that person. There's a time and a place for making a transactional arrangement like that, and that's if you've got a teacher or someone who's dedicated to you learning a language. But just in social situations, you can miss out on making some great connections by treating people like services. I had a different approach. I concentrated on just getting to know people as best as I could, making friends, creating connections. And then, whether that's immediately or after time, that person starts to care about you and become invested in your progress. They'll start introducing you to social situations where the predominant language is your target language, and eventually you'll start to progress just because you're getting to know people, and you'll start to learn the language on a much deeper level too. The other thing is that because culture is such an important aspect of learning a language, the only way that you can really learn the culture is by getting to know people properly. That's how you can then supercharge your language and take your basic knowledge and skills into a much more nuanced understanding. Principle 3, practice patience. There's plenty of websites out there that will estimate the amount of hours that you need to put into learning a language in order to master it. And if you look at them, you'll see that it's often thousands and thousands of hours, but that shouldn't put you off. It's important to be patient to get through that, because you're going to go through that dip, you're going to lose momentum at times, you're going to go through periods of rapid growth, and then you're going to go through periods where you don't feel like you're getting anywhere. The thing with learning a language is that it can be less tangible than something like lifting weights. You go to the gym every day, you're following your workout routine, and you can see the physical changes that you're affecting upon your body. Actually, learning a language is also a physical process. You need to get your ears attuned to the sounds that occur in that new language. You need to get all of your vocal apparatus trained at being able to make new sounds, speak from different parts of your chest and your neck and your head. And you also need to create pathways in your brain that find the right words and the right grammatical structures. And that is a physical network of neurons in your head that you need to train. Definitely when I was beginning to learn French, I was directing all of the French through the pathway that I built for German in my head. It became really confusing because I kept trying to do German things with the French language. And it took me a real while to actually build a separate pathway in my head where I can start speaking French a little bit more intuitively. You need to allow time for those physical connections to actually surface, and that's the way to truly learn a language, is to embed it into yourself, and that changes you, and you have to allow for that change to take hold and really lean into it if you want to become a successful language learner. So they're my 3 life lessons that you can apply to language learning. I hope they were really helpful for you, and I'd love to know in the comments which of those 3 points did you find the most impactful, and have you got any other basic principles that you think could be applied to language learning. And I hope that having seen this, when you're learning the language, you'll keep in mind what your purpose is. Focus on creating relationships and getting to know people and culture before trying to enforce your language learning journey on other people. And you'll have the patience to really allow that language to bed into your mind and being. I wish you all the best in your language learning journey, and I appreciate you watching the video. See you next time.